Welcome to Fearless Finances, where I'm trying to take the fear out of your finances. It turns out that Dave Ramsey is, oh my gosh, how can I say this nicely? Even more dumb than I thought. I cannot believe it. Now, my first introduction to Dave Ramsey was through his book, Financial Peace University. And honestly, the only thing I really knew about him is he encouraged people to pay off their debts and trim their budget. And I thought, gosh, what could be wrong with that? Well, it turns out a whole hell of a lot because he doesn't even change his tune. Like when interest rates on people's mortgages go down to 2%, but the stock market is doing 20, he's still telling them to pay off the 2% debt. That ain't smart. Now I got lots of videos about that. And also how he tells you what to do with annuities and life insurance, and just lots of bad advice. But not that long ago, one of my subscribers told me it's worse than I thought it was. I've covered up my subscriber's name because I'm not sure if he would like to be associated with this particular comment. But as you can see from the comment, he's about as worked up about it as I am. Demented. Yes, that's essentially what this retirement advice is. Demented. So, in this current video, I thought you and I might watch it together because, gosh darn it, it's got some fun stuff in it. If you don't follow the advice, if you followed it, I'd be a little ticked off. But anyway, let's get to it. Now, the other thing that I like about this video is the gentleman who's the caller into Dave Ramsey's show is the one doing the video. The other thing that I like about this video is I like the gentleman in the video. He's kind and respectful, and he's got good advice. He's thoughtful. He has a lot of good things going on for him. Unlike our friend Dave Ramsey, you're going to find that he's not so kind in this particular video. So let's tune in.
Dave Ramsey is still giving his dangerous advice, so I gave his show a call. I barely even mentioned the topic, and
I don't know what the hell George is doing a 3% withdrawal rate. There's all these goobers out there who have always put this 4% crap in the market.
he really exploded.
If you think you can only pull off 4% off of investments making 12, where the flip is the other 8% going?
What's wrong with him? Seriously, what is wrong with him? I mean, I'd ask Dave himself, but I know he doesn't know. He's too, not with it to know what's wrong. Now, it's totally different if you have a 12% guaranteed investment, but the stock market isn't guaranteed. There's years that you'll have losses. And if you continue to take out 8% in a loss year, then the extra monies that you just took out won't make new monies when the market goes up. In fact, let's tune back in to find out more about what Dave and Jay, our host and caller, had to say.
The call I made to the Ramsey show sort of exploded on the internet, and it's gotten a lot more attention than I ever would have expected. And some of the attention's been positive, some of it's been constructive, moving toward the goal of changing Dave's mind. Other bits have been negative. But either way, I feel like with all the buzz going on, I want to get my side of the story from the phone call out into the world early.
I can't tell you how adorable I think that is. Did you hear him say, in our attempt to change Dave Ramsey's mind?
Some of it's been constructive, moving toward the goal of changing Dave's mind.
It's adorable. And I was about to say, are you kidding me? Because this is the thing, Dave Ramsey isn't going to change his mind. Any logical, normal, human being takes in new information, thinks about it, and may change their mind. Dave Ramsey has been sitting there in front of a microphone beep, 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 for a long time. And people surely have pointed out the fallacy with his beliefs. Many of them probably very bright people. But Dave doesn't care. Or I don't know. I don't know what is the dysfunction with men like this. Yes, same ilk. Whether you're Donald J. or you're Dave Ramsey, same issue. You had some sort of privileged life where people listen to you because you're a man with the sort of voice that people listen to. And as a result, people thought you were smarter than you are. Because for anyone who's actually got a little bit up here and also has a reasonable emotional EQ, emotional intelligence, so that you can like recognize that you're wrong and admit it and do something different. Well, those people look at these people and say, we need to stop listening to these people. They're messing things up. Our planet, our finances, our space. I'm just tired of them taking up too much space and too much voice and negatively impacting too many people like these two men. So if you are a man out there and you're not like them, and I know there's lots of you, one of the things that you can do to help all of us is to be bolder, to take a bigger stand. We need more bold men who have common sense, just like Jay in this lovely show. So let's get back to it.
5J's in Kansas City. Hi, Jay. How are you?
I am blessed. How are you, Dave?
Better than I deserve. What's up?
So my question today is I'm baby step 4, 5, and 6. I have about 120,000 saved for retirement. That's across my IRA, my Roth IRA, my wife's Roth IRA, and the 401k.
How old are you?
And I'm 30 years old.
Good for you. Well done.
Thank you. I feel from what I've been running the numbers with that I'm on the teetering edge of coasting financial independence. And I'm trying to best understand my plan with the end in mind. So how I'm going to turn that nest egg when I retire into income. I found on your website a little article that talks about 4 to 5% withdrawal rate. Now, this is the first citation, the article that got taken down. And I was trying to run the numbers around that, and I thought I was close. And then about a month ago, George Camel released a video that said that the withdrawal rate for a 30-year time horizon should be closer to 3%. So if I can establish financial independence comfortably, then I was wondering if I could ease up on baby step 4 to pay off the house faster. Now, I couldn't see when I'm calling into the Ramsey show. I actually couldn't even hear that well because the audio is so degraded when you're talking over the phone. But you saw Dave's face there when I mentioned George's video. He got very perplexed. I get through my question here, and I was expecting that since George genuinely did show evidence that you need a 3% withdrawal rate for a 30-year time horizon, that he would look at that, ask questions about it, and we could start a little bit of fun back and forth and dig into my question.
Okay, I'm a little confused because I don't know what the hell George is doing a 3% withdrawal rate, because that's absolutely wrong. I'm going to have to find out where that video is and get it taken down, because that's just wrong. You don't need to have a 3% withdrawal rate. That's ridiculous.
At this point, when Dave kind of blew up at George there, I realized that I didn't play my cards right, that just because George had a video out there that supports conservative safe withdrawal rates, that Dave would be charitable about it. And if you've listened to Dave historically, you know that this is the start of a rant.
Or I hope you misunderstood. I hope we didn't put out trash like that.
Was it 4 to 5% like that?
No, it shouldn't be 4 to 5%. It ought to be more than that. I mean, if you're making 12 in good mutual funds and the S&P is average 11.8, and if inflation for the last 80 years is average 4%, if you make 12 and you need to leave 4% in there for inflation raises, that leaves you 8. So I'm perfectly comfortable drawing 8. But if you want to be a little bit conservative, 7, but sure not 5 or 3.
Does Dave think he's in a guaranteed account when he's in the S&P 500? What is he talking about? Now, Let me spell this out just a little bit more, and I'm pretty sure these other videos that they're talking about have given you graphs and charts, and I'm not going to go through all of that. The S&P 500 on average over the long term might do 12. Okay, spiffy. But the problem is it doesn't do that every year. In fact, let's just check in and see what the S&P 500 is doing this year. Alrighty. So, with Trump in office and our handy-dandy little tariffs going on, oh my gosh, and they just passed the big, beautiful bill today. Breaks my heart. A bunch of billionaires get a tax break, and they're going to actually hurt little kids, single moms, disabled people. They're horrible. Absolutely horrible. And if you happen to be watching this video and still support this man in any way, shape, or form, I've come to the conclusion that you're either cruel or still acting on lies. Either one of these two things you are responsible for. So stop supporting him. It's not helpful. Not helpful at all. But anyway, back to these numbers. As you can see here, they're making predictions for year end at about a 9% return. If you take out 8, like Dave Ramsey said, and it actually achieves the 9, we still don't know that. And inflation is the 4% that Dave Ramsey just mentioned, you're losing money. And in fact, with Trump's levy tariffs, more inflation than that is more likely. In fact, I just was listening to the news today and they were talking about the tariffs with Vietnam. 20% tariff. That essentially means that everything that we buy here in the United States that comes from Vietnam will increase in price. All of this is simply insane. Dave's math is insane. Donald Trump is insane. But back to the video.
3 to 5, I thought that was a big range. And a lot of the studies I found showed
Well, there's a lot of studies that are stupid in this space. It's just wrong. Listen, man, the math I just gave you is the math.
How arrogant must you be to continue to say something so utterly incorrect and not listen? The math is the math. Yes, it is the math. And so are the risks, like the fact that the market doesn't go up every year. Wow. Back again.
Listen, man, the math I just gave you is the math.
Math is math.
Okay,
Math
Dad.
is math.
If you're making 12% and inflation is 4 and you leave 4 in there, so your nest egg grows by 4, it's simple. 8 is what's left over. So if you got $1 million and you leave 4% in there, that's $40,000. Okay, so you now have $1,040,000. So the next year you get a rate of return of 12%, 11.5% on the $1,040,000, and the next year it'll be $1,090,000, 1.1, right? Because your nest egg is growing by the rate of inflation, giving you a cost of living raise.
Again, here we run into the problem of Dave Ramsey's simplified formula, which doesn't take into account the fact that the market goes up and down, volatility and sequence risk exist.
And so if you
Would
want to
you-
be
would
a
you-
little bit conservative, maybe 5%.
Would you say-
But there's all these goobers out there who have always put this 4% crap in the market, and I'm just irate right now that we have joined the stupidity.
I almost want to laugh if I didn't want to cry. What? Oh my gosh. And I just love Jay. Like, he's neglecting the fact that it's a fact that the market goes up and it goes down. In fact, my subscriber Steve also raised a good point, and I continue to talk about this in a lot of my videos too. Dave Ramsey's completely out of touch where the typical investor is. Dave Ramsey has millions and millions of dollars, and Dave Ramsey is not income poor. In fact, Dave Ramsey is income rich, whereas a lot of the people who are calling in are not earning the same amount of money that Dave Ramsey does, and as a result does not have the ability to accumulate the same wealth that Dave Ramsey has. Dave Ramsey, chances are, could do 8% a year out of his money. I don't know why he would. Because when you have millions and millions and millions of dollars, why would you need to take out, say, 2 million a year if you have no debt? He's out of touch. He does not understand what the typical investor and potential retiree like me, you, and most of America. This happens to be another problem with these two. They have no idea. I mean, Trump went on and on about groceries, like it was some novelty to go shopping for groceries. They keep telling me that groceries need to go down, and then he doesn't put them down, and Trumpers are still going, oh, well, we just need tariffs. We aren't going to have Medicaid cuts. No, they're only taking away the illegal aliens. Oh my gosh, we really need to do better. We really can be better. Back to the video because his lovely guest host is going to try to tap into some logic too. Let's see how that goes.
Why is it that stupid, though?
Rachel's asking the real question. This is what I wanted to hear from Dave. Dave's daughter is saying, why is it stupid? Why? Well, this is the part where you've heard me try to get in edgewise a little bit. I'm getting ready to jump in and hopefully be able to talk about this. Notice if you're watching on the video, Dave reaches out and pushes the button to hang up on me right before I get the chance.
It's too low because it's not realistic. You do not need to live on 4% of your money for your nest egg to survive.
Yeah. Even if you did a rate of return of 10% or something.
Yeah, and what it sets up is
Right there, he hung up on me.
this guy now, he doesn't think he's got enough money. And he's already got $120,000 and he's 30 years old and he's on a plan. He's on a plan to be very wealthy and he's worried he's going to have enough money or not.
Yeah.
You know, because stupid people put out low withdrawal rates. Like you,
But
listen,
wouldn't you rather?
if you think you can only pull off 4% off of investments making 12, where the flip is the other 8% going?
There it is again. There's a good question that Dave should be asking. Where is it going? It's going to volatility risk and it's going to sequence risk. That's where it goes. There's solid math to back that up that isn't oversimplified and conforms beautifully to reality.
Well, 4% of it went to inflation. That's where it went. The other 4% is just sitting there. So you are growing your investments instead of living off of them. I'm not destroying the nest egg. I'm not even touching the nest egg. I'm growing the nest egg by leaving 4% in there.
Yeah.
Taking 8 off of a 12
Okay,
growth
so
rate.
go a 10% rate of return. Go a little bit more conservative with your rate of return. Go 10%. What would you do with 10%?
Well, then 4 off of that, so 6.
6, yeah.
But why are you going to underinvest? The problem is when you go down these stupid nerd rabbit holes in these Reddit threads with these morons who live in their mother's basement.
I guess this now makes me a moron that lives in my mother's basement. No.
And then you put that out into the dadgum community, and then people go, I don't have enough money. It's hopeless. I'll never be able to save enough to retire. $1 million should create for you an $80,000 income, boys and girls. So you should, perpetually, like if forever, you should be able to pull 80,000 forever and never destroy it. Now and so when you tell people that $1 million creates a $40,000 income, you go, oh, I've got to have $2 million and I can't make that, then this system doesn't work. So what you're doing with this bogus math is you're stealing people's hope.
Good gravy. I don't want to steal anyone's hope. After all, it's Hope Financial. It's Jay's channel. Very cute. Hope-filled financial. Something. It's good. It's got hope. It's like being fearless. I like it. But this is the thing that I'd like you to think about. Let's say Jay starts out and he's 30 and I guess he has 120,000. I missed that in the earlier part of the question or whatever. And let's say by the time he's 50, he has like $500,000 in there. Great, handy, whatever. At 60, that might double to the $1 million that Dave Ramsey is talking about. Perfecto. This is the thing, though. We don't know how long Jay's going to live. None of us do. And one of the things that I'm thinking about as I'm planning for my retirement and the monies that I'm going to take out is I'm getting closer. I am. So the other day I looked at what my dividends were, and I have moved some money more into bonds, all because of this Trump, turbulent, tariff, economic nonsense. So I went a little more conservative and I moved a lot more money overseas, but I digress. I was looking at my dividends and my interest payments, and I thought to myself, huh, huh, huh. I might actually be able to do some sort of early retirement, partial working thing at about 62 if my Social Security payout works out the way that I want. I have a certain dollar amount in mind that I want to collect monthly, or at least start collecting monthly from Social Security. And once my Social Security hits that, I'm going to start my withdrawals. Right now, it's hitting right around full benefit age. So 67 for me. But our projected Social Security numbers also index for inflation. So as I'm getting older and closer to that age, the benefit amounts are also increasing. Are you with me? So I may indeed get to that specific dollar amount sometime before 67. It likely won't be 62, however. I did start thinking, because I have some passive income. I have online courses for my business that generate a certain income. I'm hoping this YouTube channel becomes monetized. So please subscribe so I can get there and come on back and watch some more videos. So both of those are kind of passive income. I mean, I have to create the videos, but once they're out there, that's good. Plus, I like doing this. You're fun. So anyway, back to the original thought when I was looking at my portfolio. Some of the initial years, I might be able to get away with just withdrawing out the dividends and the interest earnings. But the older we get, maybe we start to tap into more of it. It doesn't need to be specifically 3% or 4%, or don't make it 8%. Don't ever do the 8%. Well, I mean, unless there is a 20% year and you want to take out something for a larger expense. But there's lots of nuances to this whole liquidating your portfolio for retirement. I am not a fan of sticking to a straight 3%, and I am not a fan of sticking to a full 8%. I think there needs to be flexibility in this, and we need to consider what our future needs are. Many people, when they retire, find that the amount of income they need is less. They don't travel as much. They've bought the things that they wanted to for their retirement, like the RV or whatever it is. But the only exception to that is healthcare. Sometimes, if our health is bad, then we're spending more money on healthcare than we anticipated. And that, by the way, is the reason that it's hard for a lot of people to retire early. Healthcare. And this dude in the big ugly, I'm just going to start calling it the big ugly. I don't even want to put Bill on there because now apparently it's law. They're taking away health care instead of making sure that every American has access to health care. And if you've never watched it before, I'm going to link it up at the end of this video. But I have a video that tells you exactly how close we are to having universal health care in the United States. So them passing the big ugly makes absolutely no sense. And no American should be for it. Not a one of us. Stop listening to people who are convincing you that it's more important for billionaires to have a tax break than you to have health care. Hospitals and clinics are going to close and everything. It's just crazy. But I'm actually hoping there'll be some intervention before then. We need to do something. But anyway, back to Dave Ramsey and men like this who yell at us, tell us we're stupid when we don't do things their way. I don't want to do things their way. I don't like their way. If you don't like their way either, I encourage you to subscribe. I'm going to have a lot of good stuff here at this channel, and I'd love to see you back here. If you would like this video so that other people can see it, and if you've got any questions for me, comment below. In fact, if you are a retiree, I'd like to know specifically how you went about liquidating your retirement. And if you're planning for it or starting to, like me, let me know what some of your thoughts are around it. And those videos that I mentioned are linked up right there. The one on healthcare, and I've got another one on Dave Ramsey's craziness around Social Security. That man is crazy. I'll see you there.